Hey guys, it's Kay from Kayesanonymous, and I am back today with another episode of r/AmITheA or r/AITA. My brother is coming to visit me. He doesn't travel much and isn't very familiar with airports and Uber. It's weird, I know. He's with his wife and kids. He was supposed to get in at 9 p.m. I have an SUV and agreed to get him and his family. He gets to the airport and at about 8:30 p.m. they tell him his flight is delayed. He texts me and I say, no problem, just let me know when you're expected to land and I'll get you. About an hour later, he says the delay is 4 hours and I'll be in at 1 a.m. I tell him I can't do that. I have to work in the morning, and if I get you at 1 a.m., I'll be lucky to be in bed by 2. I have to get up at 5 a.m. and I just can't do that. I tell him I'll leave the front door unlocked. We have 3 spare rooms, so just pick a room and put the kids in whatever rooms they want. I then say I'll see you tomorrow after I get off work. He was ticked. He's mad he has to pay for 2 Ubers. He didn't have the app and is mad he has to download it, upload his credit card info, and whatnot. I politely explained to him that this is just part of traveling. If you want to travel, sometimes there are unexpected expenses. He thinks since I agreed to pick him up at the airport, I should do that no matter any delays. I again told him I would have no problem with that, but 9 p.m. versus 1 a.m. when I have to work is different. I also explained that he's saving thousands on a hotel by staying with me, so $50 for Uber is not a big deal. AITA? Honestly, I feel like this one is tricky, and I will just take a moment here. My last AITA video, a lot of people got upset at me because I didn't take a hard stance on a lot of things, and I kept asking you guys for your opinion after every single story, so I will try to refrain from doing that. From my point of view, you've agreed to pick up your brother at the airport, and you said it doesn't matter if it's delayed, tell me when and I'll come get you. So then after that being like, nah dude, never mind, it's kind of frustrating, especially if they're counting on you. But at the same time, it's 1 a.m. and they have to go to work. Honestly, if it was me, I probably would have gone to sleep and then set an alarm, picked them up, and went back to bed. But that's just me. But it's not like the person picking up their brother isn't within their rights to, not pick them up at 1 a.m. So I don't know. Let's go to the next story. So I have a pretty tight group of friends that have all been together since elementary school, all early 30s now. Lately, with people getting married and our careers, we haven't had much time to spend together. So one of my friends suggested a long overdue guys' night, just pizza and beers and catching up at a buddy's place. I said that I would order and pay for the pizza from our usual spot. So the day of the guys' night, I get a text from the host's wife, we'll call her Kim, asking me to pick up some pizza on the other end of the city. At first I was confused, and then I found out that she basically just canceled her plans with her girlfriends to interject herself into our guys' night. I told her that the place she wants to pick up from is on the other end of the city, plus we already had a place to order from. Kim had wanted to order a bunch of these super expensive, tiny, thin crust hipster pizzas. I tell Kim that we're a bunch of dudes that just want some regular filling pepperoni pizza to eat while we have a few drinks. The host texts me after to just say, yeah, go ahead and just get the regular, it's way easier. So we go ahead and order the regular stuff. While I'm driving to his place, I get a message from Kim that reads something like the following. I think you're being really selfish here. I wanted to share something with you guys that I found amazing and have a new experience with you, but you decided that you just have to make this all about yourself. You know that host isn't going to say no to anyone, and you're just being mean to get your way. I told Kim, just cancel the order, get whatever you want. I'm out. And turned around and drove back home. To clarify, I wasn't upset about not getting my choice of food, but at the fact that Kim not only invited herself to what she knew was a guy's night, and then started making demands about food for us, and telling me to pick up the food that she wants when she was also off of work at this time. Kim is a bit of a spoiled princess that's used to getting everything she wants. So I decided not to go, because if she was already getting this upset over something like pizza, then I don't want to spend one of my nights off around her. None of the guys were upset, and they wanted me to come, but understood why I bailed. One last thing is, we all hang out pretty regularly as a group anyways, So Kim sees us all once every week or so anyways. It's not that the guys never get to see each other, but we just haven't had a guys-only night in nearly a year. Am I the a-hole for not just going along with this to have a peaceful evening? Okay, so I've noticed this in my personal life as well, that some people almost get anxious when they're away from their significant other. So maybe Kim really does think that this is a special thing that she wants to get in on. But I've noticed that with a lot of married couples, when like just the guys get together or just the girls get together, they tend to be on their phone a lot, like checking in with each other all the time, which I personally don't do. But seriously, if it's a guy's night, why would you insert yourself? If my husband wants to have a guy's night, I go figure out something else to do, or at the very least, I stay in the other room so that they can enjoy having a night to themselves and enjoying their stuff, just like he would do for me. So he's not the a-hole in my opinion. I think she is, and it really sucks that they didn't get to have their guys-only thing because Kim just had to invite herself. My brother recently had a severe seizure and sadly passed away. Now, ever since my brother turned 18, I have been the legal guardian for him, and he has been in a home for the past 5 years. He's incredibly low functioning, and someone always has to keep an eye on him. He was admitted to the hospital. I'm not sure how long he was left unattended. After serious consideration, my wife and I agreed to donate his brain to science. Autism is genetic, and if there is any chance of a cure, it would be found in an autopsy of the brain. My mother was adamant that she wanted an open casket funeral. I love my mom, but I want what's best for my brother. AITA? Now, there is a whole lot of debate around autism and the whole idea of a cure and stuff like that. A lot of people have different feelings about that, but someone who is that low functioning, seeing their brain might help researchers understand what specifically would make him lower functioning than, say, someone else on the spectrum, and whether it would be considered a cure or just something to help remedy a lot of what made his life so difficult that he was just basically sent to an institution. You know, that could be helpful for other people, and that might be something close to their family's heart. I mean, at the end of the day, legally, he was the guardian, not his mother, so the law doesn't necessarily have everything to do with whether or not you're the a-hole here. I get that the mom really wanted an open casket funeral. I guess another thing to take into consideration is, why is the brother the legal guardian? You know, maybe the mom just didn't have funds or something, but I do find that strange that the mom put guardianship in the hands of the brother and now wants her way when it comes to the funeral. I get that she's the mom, but again, she passed over guardianship, so it's pretty rough. I don't think there is an actual a-hole here. Trying to keep this as short as possible. I am 33 and my brother is 23. He graduated with his computer science degree last December and asked if he could move in with me temporarily while he looks for a job. I said sure, as long as you pay me $75 a week. A week later, he flies to San Francisco from Florida, and a week after that, he lands a part-time job as a waiter. These last few months went pretty smoothly. He's enjoying San Francisco, making lots of friends, and with my help, polishing up his resume since he's having a bit of trouble finding a tech job. Before I go any further, let me state that I've been cheated on by 2 different ex-girlfriends and therefore absolutely despise cheaters. My brother knows this. To make a long story short, last night I find out that my brother is cheating on his long-distance girlfriend with a girl he met here. I show him the incriminating evidence and tell him to pack his crap and leave. All day today, I've been bombarded by texts from our parents asking me to let him move back in. Even after I explained the situation, they said to let him move back in anyway because he's family. I told a coworker what happened, and he tells me that my brother's romantic life isn't my business and that I'm a huge a-hole for doing what I did. Meanwhile, another coworker who overheard that conversation says that my actions were completely justified. Edit. After reading all your responses, I've decided that I'm gonna text him to come talk with me at my apartment. I will then give him a stern lecture and offer him 2 options. 1, give him 30 days to either move back to Florida or find somewhere else to live, but in the meantime, the rent will be $125 a week. Or 2, he can continue living with me, but the rent will be $250 a week. He's not the one being cheated on, if that makes sense, but at the same time, he might not necessarily feel great about housing someone who did something that he feels so strongly against. And his edit does come after reading those comments. I read some of those comments, and they're basically saying something similar to something I read in another situation where people were kicking people out. And that is basically the legal standpoint, not necessarily the are you the a-hole standpoint, but the legal standpoint being that you have to give him some sort of notice. You can't just kick him out. And while it kind of seems kind of random to decide, morally, you can live here if you pay this amount a week, I think where he's coming from is, $75 a week in the area that they're living is cheap, and he's kind of doing him a favor. So if he's willing to pay that kind of money, then I guess he's not gonna worry about being in his business. I don't know how well that's gonna go over. As for if he's the a-hole, I mean, I guess it would really stand on if he communicated that kind of thing to him before. What I mean is not necessarily, oh, I don't like that people cheat, but if you are a cheater, then you're not staying with me. That kind of thing would have been maybe okay in my opinion if he had said that in the beginning. Like, look, here are some ground rules, don't do illegal things in the apartment, don't do X, Y, and Z, don't bring this kind of stuff around me, and, don't be a cheater, and you can stay here for this amount a week. But since he didn't really lay that out, I don't think that's necessarily fair. I think that maybe he should have given him some sort of warning. But then again, once a cheater, it's not like he can just stop cheating and take away what he did, if that makes sense. I just don't think that OP is 100% in the right here, but I'm also not saying that the cheater is a good person for what they did either. I work with a heavyset girl who has taken to calling people heifer, which is a reference to a cow. She's basically calling people fat, and some of the people she refers to as heifer are actually a bit heavy. So I'm walking down the hallway at work yesterday, and I hear her call out, "Move it along, heifer." I turned to see her smiling, so I asked her if she thought she, of all people, had the right to call people fat. I don't think she understood what I meant at first, so I said to her that she's half my height and probably twice my weight. Between the two of us, she's the heifer. Now, I'm not friends with this person, we don't have inside jokes. I only learned her first name recently. Anyway, she started crying, and this morning I'm in the office first thing explaining that the whole situation was misinterpreted, and I was only responding to her using the word first. So, AITA for calling a fat girl fat who's calling people fat? Should the other girl have called people heifer? Probably not. I don't know if it would have really been okay to turn around and say that back to her. But something that the people in the comments were pointing out is that in certain areas, people use the word heifer affectionately, which is hard for me to imagine because I've never heard anyone call anyone heifer in a friendly way. I have heard someone call people backwards in a kind way, but I think they just didn't understand what that word kind of insinuated. So I'm wondering if she doesn't understand what that word is insinuating, especially when they say some of the people she refers to as heifer are actually a bit heavy. So if she's referring to everyone as a heifer, even small people, then perhaps she isn't trying to imply that they're heavy. Perhaps she has a different understanding or a different way of using that word, but I can see from OP's point of view why they would think that this girl is just walking around calling people fat, basically. So I don't know that she is the a-hole, but I think there was definitely some serious miscommunication, and OP got a little bit, irritated in that miscommunication and lashed out with what she thought would be equal response and probably wasn't actually. So maybe she's accidentally the a-hole here? So my girlfriend got suddenly sick where she was diagnosed with some problem in her uterus. The pain was quite bad but was supposed to go away within a week. I brought her to the doctor and spent all day with her. The next day, however, I had plans with my best friend who has moved away to a different city. I had not seen him since half a year, and that day was the only day I could see him before he traveled away again. We made the plan to meet a while ago. The day I was going to meet him, I asked my girlfriend if she needed me to prepare her dinner or buy any other groceries that would ease her pain. She felt betrayed that I was leaving her and started a fight. I left because I really wanted to see my friend before he left. I sent her several messages asking if she was okay, and she did not respond. When I got back home, she was ticked at me for leaving her and said that she was considering breaking up with me. I apologized and I said I will take care of her next time. She didn't let it go immediately and was mad for many days. Fast forward to today. She is very well now. I have plans with a couple of my friends and she's still making me feel guilty about leaving her. I told her that I should be able to see my friends whenever I want to without having to feel guilt. And now she's ticked again and left without saying anything. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for leaving my girlfriend when she was sick and leaving her today too? I was gone for like 8 hours, left at 2 p.m. and came home at 10 p.m. She has several friends that could visit her and she has close family living 20 minutes away, her father, who could have taken care of her. However, she did not want her father to be the one taking care of her because she said it was an embarrassing problem. I did ask her how she felt about me leaving, however she was really angered over the fact that I even thought about leaving, which did not lead to any proper conversation. We have been together for 2 years, recently moved in together. Update number 2, it was an ovarian cyst that became too large. Nothing to do about it except wait for it to go away. Perhaps I spent too many hours away. I should have returned earlier. Okay, so I read a lot of the response to this because I personally am not familiar with what it feels like to have an ovarian cyst, thankfully, and I hope that I never experience that, especially hearing the recounting of stories in the comments. It sounds extremely painful, and it is not something I'm interested in ever experiencing. That being said, I think that he probably went about it the wrong way. A lot of people were calling him out for saying it was something with her uterus. Maybe he didn't remember what it was called or didn't think it was relevant. However, a lot of people took that as him thinking it wasn't a big deal. A lot of his language in this post does seem to make it sound like he maybe thought it wasn't that big of a deal because he was saying it's not like I could do anything. She was just in pain and it was just supposed to go away eventually. What was I gonna do? From my point of view, I think that had he said, I'll make sure someone's with you. I'm so sorry. I really, really want to go see this person. We've been planning it for a really long time. Can I set you up with your friend or something? Do you think that they could, come here and help you? I'll get you anything you need. I feel like starting it like that instead of being like, do you need stuff? Because I'm leaving. See you. It's not like it's a big deal or whatever. Or, maybe going out for less of a time would have been okay. I think her trying to make him feel guilty afterwards is a little bit much. Trying to say when she's just fine that, anytime he wants to go see his friends, that he should feel guilty for the time that he left her. I think that's something that they just need to resolve. I don't think it's fair of her to hold that over his head the whole time, but I think it's important for him to acknowledge that it was really hurtful to her. honestly, I don't think that their relationship is gonna last if they still haven't resolved that issue, but that's just my thoughts on it. So, last September, I had a baby boy. He's my first child with my fiance, and as such, we're doing our best to navigate what can be appropriate family boundaries with the in-laws. My family has a hugely different dynamic than his family does, so sometimes I have to ask myself, is this a fair boundary, or is it something I just find strange because of how I was raised? My mother-in-law and I get along for the most part-ish. Big-ish. I do have some issues with his whole family that I can't go into specifics without the character limit. If this info is important, please let me know. But mainly, they're all loud and extroverted, and I feel like I spend the whole time chasing them down to ensure they're following the rules in place for my son, and I spend the rest of the time helping my fiance defend our parenting choices. Being there always feels stressful, and it's something we have to go out of our way to plan since they live over an hour away. But anyway, on to Mother's Day. This year, since it's my first time being a mom, and my fiance and I don't get much time to go out together as he works a lot, I've asked him how he'd feel about spending Mother's Day with just me, him, and our son. Since it was my first Mother's Day, I really wanted to enjoy it without any added stress and just be with my new family. He didn't see any issues with it. He'd still call his mom and grandmother and say Happy Mother's Day. My own mother and grandmother were supportive and said they understood and didn't really care one way or the other. My mother-in-law, though, has a huge problem with it. She thinks it's disrespectful. She thinks it's unfair to her. She thinks I should just suck it up and make it work to drive the hour away to go see his family. She'll keep asking in many different ways to see if the answer changes. She has been trying to guilt my fiancé as well, saying things like his great-grandmother could die, and this could be the last time he sees her. She is old, but trust me, that old lady is healthy as a horse. She's awesome too. She'll hold it against him that he used to be in the army and couldn't be home for all family holidays, so he should feel bad if he doesn't go by choice now when he's able. We offered to go the next weekend to see them, and that wasn't good enough either. Now it's starting to make me feel stressed and bad. I feel like there's always some issues surrounding my feelings or what I want with them. So, I want to know, am I being unreasonable? No. You're not being unreasonable, and your future mother-in-law is kind of a jerk, and I think she's the a-hole, so there's that. My significant other and I got engaged a few months ago and are planning to get married next year. It was a perfect day with us and our friends. The night ended with him getting down on one knee and pulling out a black Tiffany ring box. He asks, I say yes. We spend the next hour telling each other how much we love each other. Everything is perfect. Fast forward a few months, the ring is beautiful, absolutely stunning, and I love it. I haven't taken it off except to maybe clean the house. One day I noticed it had collected a few minor scuffs on the inside, as most rings do, and asked my SO for the info on where to get it polished or cleaned. He said there's no such info, but he can take it to get it cleaned himself. I thought that was strange, since most smaller jewelers offered diamond warranties and cleaning services. Why wouldn't Tiffany offer the same thing? That was a sign that something was up for me. I started Googling places to clean Tiffany jewelry in the area just in case he was mistaken, and found a few ads for places that can authenticate Tiffany jewelry. After looking into it more, I found out all Tiffany jewelry pieces have serial numbers and the Tiffany logo mark to deter fraud. Mine has nothing but a gold rating and an unidentifiable mark. Basically, I want to find out where he got the ring and why he lied to me, if he did. It honestly is not important to me where the ring is from, but why pretend it's from somewhere that it's not? We are both well off, so I know it wasn't an issue of cost. On the other hand, I'm also worried that he doesn't know it's not real, and I don't want him to get hurt in case he feels embarrassed or angry he was lied to. It's a beautiful ring, and I really do love it. Should I confront him or just let it be and wonder if he intentionally lied to me? Ooh, this is a bit of a yikes situation to me. I don't know. I don't know what I would do in that situation. I think that I mean, he's intentionally lying because she clearly thinks it's from Tiffany's and made it obvious she thought it was from Tiffany's. And now he's like, oh no, I'll go get it cleaned myself. So to me, that sounds like he knows it's not from Tiffany's. And he also knows that she thinks it is from Tiffany's. So I think she should just ask him, like, why are you lying? Like, is this really from Tiffany's? Like, I'm not bothered by it. It's a beautiful ring. I love it. I just want to know why you feel like it's necessary to pass it off as it's from Tiffany's when it's not. Like, it doesn't even matter. It's beautiful. I love it. But why are you lying about it? Like, that's so weird. And that would make me uncomfortable if I didn't know why. So if I were her, I'm just saying, I would ask. I don't think that's a jerk move to do. It's not like she's saying, if it's not from Tiffany's, I'm gonna freak out or something. 3 of my best friends, who I hardly ever see, flew down to visit me for the weekend. They got here last night and are staying until Sunday. I took today off work to spend time with them. During the night, my son was coughing a lot. I asked my husband if he could stay home with him today, and he said that I could because I wasn't working anyway. His exact words were, I have a responsibility to work and you have a responsibility to take care of him. I was pretty ticked. We both work full-time and we both take care of the kids. Anyways, we sent him to school, and I guess on the way there, my husband decided he couldn't go, so now he's on his way home with him. I know I'm going to get so much crap from him because he had to miss work. I don't think it's the end of the world for him to miss a day of work so I can spend time with my friends who flew all the way here. AITA? Update. Okay, I'm the a-hole. That's fine. A few things to add. He's not horribly sick. He has a small cold, which for him turns to asthma. He has an inhaler. Also, husband has no limit to his sick days and gets a ton of vacation time, whereas I get a few weeks of vacation and 5 sick days that I've already used up staying home with the kids. Obviously, it's all more complicated than I have room to explain. I appreciate your answers and see how this post makes me look like a bad mom, but I assure you I'm not. Our son has no idea that any of this happened. They're both kind of a-holes in this situation. The reason I say that is, one, if it's true that the husband can take unlimited sick days if he needs to, and she's already used all of hers up, he already knows that she took vacation to meet up with her friends, I think that he's kind of being a jerk by saying that she should have to watch him. Why they sent the child to school when they knew he was sick, that's not okay to me. So my assumptions here are that the mom got him ready, maybe the dad takes him in to school on his way into work, and while they're in the car, he realizes his son is coughing a lot. He's not okay with it, turns around, and goes home with him. So if that's true, then the mom here is kind of an a-hole for just trying to ship her son off to the school in hopes that he would just be able to stick it out while he was there. Sick kids aren't going to learn well. Yeah, so I think they're kind of both a-holes for that. And let's move on. Just want to preface this by saying my mom's ongoing cancer battle has killed quite a bit of empathy I used to have. It's been emotionally draining and may have thrown my perspective on my girlfriend's situation. My 29 male girlfriend, 27, is from Southeast Asia, came to the US on a visa, and got a job at an apparel startup. I met her about a month before her visa expired, and she had been in contact with an immigration lawyer trying to get her into the H-1B lottery. The immigration lawyer botched the paperwork and missed the application deadline. She didn't leave before the deadline and wouldn't be able to re-enter the US for 3 years, which I didn't think was so bad considering if she overstayed an additional 6 months, she wouldn't be able to re-enter for another 10 years. She said even 3 years is too much of a setback and decided not to go back to her home country. She has been continuing to work at the startup while also working on launching her own apparel business, already putting production orders in. Her bosses let her know that after year-end, he will no longer keep her on as an independent contractor and must be on payroll, which she can now only do if she marries a US citizen. She has also hit roadblocks in setting her business up due to her immigration status. At this point, the 6-month window has also passed, so if she leaves now, she won't be able to re-enter for 10 years. I have been dating her for 10 months now, and about 2 weeks ago, she started really pressuring me on getting married, which I've said is something that I'm not ready for right now. She says that getting married can solve all of her problems and has likened me to someone who has the cure for cancer and won't give it to someone they love, which seems like her just trying to relate her situation to my mom's. She says that I'm the most selfish person she has ever met and that I've ruined her life. I don't want to get married just to solve a problem. I want to get married because I am certain that I want that person in my life forever. In these past 10 months, I haven't spent enough time with her to know that, so I'm not willing to get married to her. Am I the a-hole? Update. The relationship is over. I won't be speaking with her again. Thanks to everyone who took the time to share their perspective. It has given me clarity when I badly needed it, and I really appreciate it. Well, as the update states, the relationship is now over, and I am glad for him. Because if you follow this timeline, he's been dating her for a total of 10 months now. Meaning she was dating him before the additional 6 months, because they talked with each other. So that means at the time that she willfully decided to continue with her job, they'd been dating for 4 months. And to me, that means she already thought she could get him to marry her so she could have a visa. Now, whether their entire relationship was started just so that she could get a visa, I can't speak on that. But at that point, I really feel like she was sure that she could convince him to give her a visa by marriage. And that's not okay. She was basically just using him in the situation, at least by the time 4 months have passed in their relationship, and then trying to liken her situation to the situation with his mom having cancer. Very much not okay. And now she gets to pay the consequences and not re-enter the US for another 10 years, or she finds some poor sap who's willing to marry her and divorce her later on. Anyway, that concludes today's video. I know I probably talked a lot in this one. This was probably the video that definitely triggered a lot of people telling me to shut my mouth, so if you don't enjoy it, I don't know why you're still here, but to the people who do enjoy it, thank you so much for hanging around, and also to the people who did point out that I kept on asking you after literally every single story what you thought. I apologize, I don't know why I did that. So I do appreciate you pointing that out, so hopefully this one was less annoying. I hope that you did enjoy it. If you did, go ahead and drop a like, and let me know your thoughts on all of these in the comments below. I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!